So, today we are once again gonna go through a new book, and it's not gonna be the same as yesterday because we already finished with all of the books that we went through. Pretty cool books, but I think the next one is also gonna be quite cool. And I gotta have to say, I just really do enjoy going through them. There's a lot of interesting stuff there. There's also a lot of great stuff there. Therefore, I'm gonna see you after the intro, as always, as every single day. But before I do anything, and because I can actually stand up and everything, I gotta have to close this shit, and I'm gonna have to have a little bit of soundproofing because I have noticed that I need a little bit of soundproofing. Therefore, I'm just gonna do it right now pretty quickly. Where's my other thingy thing? I wonder. Let's just take something. No, let's just take something. It should be fine. Well, one piece of clothing. Yes, sounds good. Is good, I hope, at least. But yeah, the book is called Predictably, yes, I can't read, Irrational by Dan Ariely. And it was rated 9 out of 10 by Derek Sivers. So we're once again on the Derek Sivers site or on the Sivers.org site because it is just a pretty amazing site. No, I wonder. I really do wonder. Is it working now? Yes, it is working. And I think, according to... Yes, it's there. Okay. According to Derek Sivers and this small little thingy thing there, my favorite type of book pointing out and understanding all the counterintuitive things people do. And I think that knowing about these things and also talking about these things is often and quite always a good thing because I might be having them. Somebody else might be having them. And I think it is just a good way to, get rid of them. Probably, hopefully. But yeah, let's see. Most people don't know what they want unless they see it in context. We don't know what kind of racing bike we want until we see it in the Tour de France. We don't know what kind of speaker system we like until we hear a set of speakers that sounds better than the previous one. We don't know what we want to do with our lives until we find a relative or friend who is doing just what we think we should be doing. Everything is relative, and that is the point. Like an airplane pilot landing in the dark, we want runaway lights on either side of us, guiding us to the place where we can touch down our wheels. And I wouldn't necessarily say that this is the case for everyone, because there's quite a few people that really do know what they want to have and what they want to do and all of those things. But yeah, definitely. But I think in general, context, I don't know, I think it is also having something to do with being grateful and being happy about things, because most often we are really happy about things when we are not having them, when it is gone, most often. The decoy effect is the secret agent in more decisions than we could imagine. For vacation, choosing between Rome and Paris, tough choice. Don't know, offer a third option. Rome without the free breakfast, call it Rome, or the decoy. Now consider three options: Rome, minus Rome, and Paris. The comparison with the clearly inferior option makes Rome with the free breakfast seem even better. Minus Rome makes Rome look so good that you judge it to be even better than the difficult to judge Paris. So it is again relative. We are once again just comparing people. We are comparing destinations. We are comparing things, vacations, whatever it might be. Fucked up. Indeed, fucked up. Arbitrary coherence, or in brackets baby duckling, anchoring and imprinting. Once prices are established in our mind, they shape not only what we are willing to pay for an item, but also how much we are willing to pay for a related product. This makes them coherent. Important clarification: price tags themselves are not anchors. They become anchors when we contemplate buying a product or service at that particular price. That's when the imprint is set. From then on, we are willing to accept a range of prices, but we will always refer back to the original anchor. Yes, indeed. And I think I'm gonna say it just really a lot throughout the whole book, but it is again something pretty relative. If you think about it, I don't know if those particular phones that you're considering, if they start at 300, then you consider a phone that is 300 or just priced at $300 or whatever currency it might be. You might be considering this as relatively cheap. or even cheap, because relatively speaking, in terms of like compared to all the other phones that might be in your mind, which might be an iPhone, which is more expensive, or not, could also be the case, I don't know, or just some other phone that is like 1K or something, it's really, really inexpensive. But compared to other phones that are like $50, $25, other phones like that, just without touchscreen and all those things, of course. But then again, it just seems to be pretty pricey. So we indeed, quite easily, I would say as well, we just settle with a specific price, with a specific price in mind. Yeah, I would say. People who move to a new city remain anchored to the prices they paid for housing in their former city. People who move from cheap to moderate cities don't increase their spending to fit the new market. They spend what they were used to in the previous market, even sacrificing comfort. Yes, quite. We really get anchored, I think also relatively quickly. Relatively, you get it because it's about relative things. Anyway, yes, indeed, even though, like, I don't know, like if you just find new people there and they're just also doing things in a very specific way, and they're just, they're just using quote unquote this amount of money and stuff, then I think you're also very likely to do that as well. Just because, I don't know, it's all relative. How am I performing relative to the people around me? Am I good relative to the people around me? I don't know, let's just talk about an exam or some shit. And if somebody is just better than you, then of course it does matter to whom you're just comparing yourself to. Of course, when there is a guy or a girl that always is really good, and if you compare yourself to this person, then of course you're pretty shit. But if this is a person that is maybe even slightly better than you, then you're gonna be slightly worse. It's not that of a huge thing, but I don't know. Like, I think it really, really heavily depends on that. Quite. If this makes sense. I hope it makes sense. The fallacy of supply and demand. How did Starbucks charge more for coffee then? ? If we were previously anchored to the prices at Dunkin' Donuts, how did we move our anchors to Starbucks? Schultz, which was, I'm not quite sure, I think he's not the chairman any longer, but he was the chairman and also buyer of the company, and then he grew it, as far as I remember. There's also, I think, books about that. There is books about that. Worked diligently to separate Starbucks from other coffee shops, not through price but ambience, to feel like continental coffee house. Where everyone else had small, medium, large, Starbucks had short, tall, grande, venti, as well as drinks with high pedigree names like Cafe Americano, Cafe Misto, and Frappuccino. Starbucks did everything in its power to make their experience feel different. So different that we would not use the prices at Dunkin' Donuts as an anchor, but instead would be open to the new anchor that Starbucks was preparing for us. And of course, a coffee for $5 might be pretty cheap compared to one from Starbucks. So also something to think about. But I think it is a pretty cool strategy if we think about it and if we talk about it. Because indeed, no, I'm not gonna compare those two companies because the products are pretty much not the same, even though they are the same. Maybe they are called differently, maybe they just look slightly differently, maybe it's just because of the fucking name that is on my fucking cup when I get it. Various different things, but yeah. I, by the way, never had Starbucks coffee as far as and there's also no Starbucks in my area, and I don't drink coffee normally. Sometimes very, 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 very rarely because I don't know, I just feel it's not doing too much good to me, and therefore I believe I maybe should just not be doing it if I'm also not just craving for it. So what's that point then? What is that point? The teacher said he was going to be reading Walt Whitman, however, poetry that Friday evening, and due to limited space had to run an auction to determine who could attend. Before the auction, though, he privately asked half the students to write down whether hypothetically they would be willing to pay him $10 for a 10-minute poetry reading, and the other half to write down whether hypothetically they would be willing to listen to him recite poetry for 10 minutes if he paid them $10. This, of course, served as the anchor. Then he asked for the students to bid on a poetry reading. Those who answered the hypothetical question about paying him were willing to pay. They offered an average of $1, $2, $3 for short, medium, and long reading. Those who answered the hypothetical question about being paid demanded payment, on average they wanted $1.30, $2.70, and or $4.80 for short, medium, and long reading. Like Tom Sawyer's fence, he was able to take an ambitious experience and make it into a pleasurable or a painful experience. And it is actually quite interesting, that we do not want to pay for something, but if we should be doing something, then, we should be paid a lot and stuff. Really interesting. Like, I think this is just the human kind in fucking nutshell or something. You know what I mean. Mark Twain quote, "Work consists of whatever a body is obliged to do." Or obliged, I don't know. Play consists of whatever a body is not obliged to do. There are wealthy men who drive four-horse passenger coaches 20 to 30 miles on a daily line in the summer because the privilege costs them considerable money. But if they were offered wages for the service, that would turn it into work and they would resign. Interesting. We decide whether or not to eat burgers, smoke, run red lights, marry, have children, vote Republican, etc. Theory says we base these decisions on our fundamental values, our likes and dislikes. But could it be that the lives we have so carefully crafted are largely just a product of arbitrary coherence? Could it be that we made arbitrary or you know what I mean, decisions at some point in the past and have built our lives on them ever since, assuming the original decisions were wise? Is that how we choose our careers, spouses, clothes, and hairstyles? Were these just partially random first imprints that have run wild? A little bit of a rant. A little tiny bit of a rant, maybe. We can actively improve our irrational behaviors. Start by becoming aware of our vulnerabilities. If you're planning on a purchase, ask yourself, how did that habit begin? What amount of pleasure will you be getting out of it? Is the pleasure as much as you thought you would get? Could you cut back a little and better spend the remaining money on something else? Train yourself to question your repeated behaviors. Why am I doing this? And I think it is something really important. Like, we all have certain habits. I, for example, and I try to pick something in between good and bad. I tend to, what am I tending to? I might be tending to just have a very specific relationship to the food that I'm eating. I'm just only eating very specific food, basically. And the question is this even good for me? I thought, let's put it like this, maybe, that it is good for me, but maybe it is not even good for me. But by questioning that and by thinking about it and by repeatedly questioning the things that you're doing in general, whether it is actually a habit or not, well, it's probably then a habit if you're doing it consistently and or repeatedly, then I don't know, you come to certain conclusions that what you might be doing might not just be the best thing to do, or there might be something different that is even better, even more pleasure, even more whatever, also like, I don't know, why don't I just also work in the evening? Why do I watch YouTube videos and do just nothing and probably fuck my sleep? Why am I doing this? Maybe I should be doing something different. And then just trying out something different and seeing how it feels. Of course, it is gonna maybe feel strange in the beginning because it is something different and because it is something that you didn't do before. But different doesn't mean that it is bad. It could also be something pretty good. And I don't know, trying out things, seeing how they work, seeing if they work, seeing what happens. Pretty good. In particular, pay attention to the first decision you make and what is going to be a long stream of decisions. Clothing, food, etc. When we face such a decision, it may seem this is just one decision without large consequences, but in fact, the power of the first decision has a long-lasting effect that will percolate for years to come. It could be. Of course, I may not be too sure about that. I'm sorry, once again, I don't understand it. Hello. I might not be too sure just because it is the exact same thing that is happening to me. I made a decision once that I'm gonna eat healthy, and now I'm eating healthy ever since, and some shit, or that I'm not buying any clothes. Quite. The question is, what if I decide to do so? What if I decide to buy myself more clothes and stuff? What is going to happen? Is something going to happen? The cost of zero cost. A table set up in a busy area offering chocolate. Lindt truffle, 27 cents. Hershey's Kiss, 2 cents. Result, 75% choose truffle and 25% choose kiss. Pretty interesting. So when the Lindt truffle is 27 cents, which is way more than the Hershey's Kiss, which is 2 cents, then it is 75 and 25%, which is pretty interesting. Really interesting. Lindt truffle, 15 cents. So it is slightly cheaper, but the Hershey's Kiss is 1 cent, so even cheaper, but the difference between 15 cents and 1 cent is not as big as 27 cents and 2 cents. Then it turned out that 73% chose the truffle and 27% chose the kiss. And when the Lindt truffle is 14 cents and the Hershey's Kiss is for free, the result was that 31% chose the truffle and 69% chose the kiss because it was free. Rational economic theory would have said that as the everything between the situations was the same, the customer should have chosen the truffle by the same margin of preference. Free makes us do irrational things. You go to the store to get good hiking socks, but come out with a package of cheap bad socks because it came with a free second pair. Or buying an expensive HD TV because it comes with a free Blu-ray player. Yes, indeed, free is just such a signal word like, "Los, come on and get at me." Get me and get it. Yeah. May not be good for the long run. May not be good for the stuff that you're doing and stuff. Probably not good. Most transactions have an upside and downside, but when something is free, we forget the downside. Free gives us such an emotional charge that we perceive what is being offered as immensely more valuable than it really is. Why? Because humans are intrinsically afraid of loss. The real allure of free is tied to this fear. There is no visible possibility of loss, and there is also no possibility that you make a bad decision or the wrong decision because it is free. Something is free, of course I'm gonna get it, because I don't have to pay for it, because I don't lose anything. I don't lose any money on it. Even though it might be a bad decision, I don't lose any money on it. We can use free to drive social policy. Want people to drive electric cars? Don't just lower the registration inspection fee, make it free. If health is a concern, focus on early detection as a way to eliminate the progression of severe illness. Make these critical procedures free. Most policy strategists don't realize that free is an ace in their hand. It's counterintuitive, but in these times of budget cutbacks, making something free can have a great deal of power. Yeah, I think I'm going to end the episode there with just right at the heart. It's quite an interesting book with a few interesting thoughts there. A little long sentences and long paragraphs, but we're going to go through it anyway. If there's some value, then we're just going to push through it. We're going to have a look at it and we're going to do that. I gotta have to be conscious about my battery there. Since I can't press anything, the question of the day is, could you do something? Could you say something? Could you make something? Could you build something to really help specific people? Whether it is actually people you know, or whether it is people you don't know, you probably can do something and probably can build something, probably can create something that is really contribution to somebody's life, I'd say. But yeah. Well, yeah. 3 other questions that I'm having for you are, why are you here? What are you trying to change? And what is bothering you the most? These 3 questions are hopefully going to show you your purpose and maybe even a business idea, which is a good thing, which is a nice thing. Yeah, that's it, I think. Have I skipped something? I feel like that I have skipped something. I wish you the best health, happiness. Well, I'm going to say it once again. I wish you the best health, happiness, and also success, and also hope that you're going to rise up and you're going to be remembered. This basically means your legacy, and basically means just being remembered as a nice person, which is an amazingly important thing, I think. But yeah, I'm hopefully going to see you the next time. I really have to thank you for being here, and much love. Take care, stay healthy, stay at home, stay where you are, try to do so, and I'm hopefully going to see you, and I'm hopefully going to meet you, and I'm hopefully gonna have fun in the next episode, which is going to be about a new book as well. But I have to just look for a new book, you know. But I really am looking forward to that because amazing ideas and amazing thoughts that I wouldn't be able to get without them. But yeah, I'm gonna see you the next time. So bye bye.